The patrol ship moved slowly through the broken pieces of metal floating in space. Commander Zektar sat in his chair, watching the debris drift past the windows. His 6 eyes blinked one after another as he studied each piece. 3 days ago, this had been a human colony transport ship. Now it was nothing but scrap metal and frozen air. Zektar's purple skin changed color slightly, showing his sadness. He had seen many destroyed ships in his long life, but something about the human vessels always made him feel strange. Maybe it was because the humans tried so hard. Their ships were weak and slow, held together with basic welding and hope. They had no chance in deep space, yet they kept trying to escape their dying world. "Commander?" His sensor operator called out. The young Kelvari's tentacles danced over the control panel. "I am detecting something unusual." "More debris?" Zektar asked, though he already knew the answer from the operator's excited tone. "No, Commander. A life sign. Very weak, but definitely there. It appears to be coming from a small escape pod, hidden behind that large piece of hull." Zektar stood up quickly. His 4 legs clicked against the metal floor as he moved to look at the sensor screen. There it was, a single red dot, pulsing slowly. A life sign. A human life sign. The bridge became quiet. Every crew member knew the rules. The Galactic Council had made it very clear 3 cycles ago. Humans were a failed species. Too violent, too unpredictable, too dangerous. No council member was allowed to help them. "Let nature take its course," the council had said. "Let them fade away." "Commander?" The sensor operator asked quietly. "What should we do?" Zektar looked at the screen for a long moment. The red dot was getting weaker. Soon it would disappear completely. One human probably dying, definitely alone. It would be so easy to fly away. No one would ever know. But Zektar thought about his own daughter, safe at home on Kelvari Prime. He thought about how he would feel if she was alone in space, dying, and someone chose to look away. "Bring them aboard," he said. "Commander, the council rules." "I know the rules," Zektar interrupted. "Bring them aboard. Use Medical Bay 3, the one farthest from the main crew areas, and keep this quiet." The rescue took 20 minutes. The escape pod was badly damaged, its air almost gone. When they finally got it open, they found a young human male, unconscious and barely breathing. His skin was pale and cold. Blood had frozen on his forehead from a deep cut. The medical team worked for hours. Humans were similar enough to Kelvari that most of their medicines worked, but different enough that every treatment was a guess. The human's single heart stopped twice. Both times they managed to start it again. Zektar stood by the medical bed, watching. The human looked so fragile. No natural armor, no redundant organs, just soft skin and hope. How had such creatures ever survived long enough to reach the stars? His identification says Jake Morrison, the medical officer reported. Age 32, Earth years. He was registered on colony transport vessel Hope's Dawn. Hope's Dawn. Zektar had seen the name on some of the larger debris pieces. A ship built to carry 5,000 humans to a new world. Now it was nothing but metal fragments floating in the dark. It took 3 weeks before Jake Morrison opened his eyes. When he did, the first thing he saw was Zektar's alien face. 6 eyes, purple skin, and tentacles where a mouth should be. Most humans would have screamed. Jake just blinked slowly and whispered, "Am I dead?" "No," Zektar replied in careful English. He had been practicing the language while Jake recovered. "You are alive. You are safe." Jake tried to sit up but was too weak. "The ship, Hope's Dawn, what happened?" "Your vessel was destroyed. We found you in an escape pod." "Others? Were there other survivors?" Zektar's skin shifted to a darker purple. "You were the only life sign we detected." Jake closed his eyes. Tears ran down his face. "My daughter, Amy. She was on the colony ship. 8 years old, she was..." His voice broke. "She was supposed to be on colony ship Freedom's Light, but she wanted to stay with me one more day. Just one more day with Daddy." Zektar felt something twist in his chest. 3 hearts, and all of them hurt for this strange alien. "I am sorry," he said, and meant it. "Why did you save me?" Jake asked after a long moment. "I know what the Council thinks of humans. Why risk your career for one of us?" Zektar was quiet for a moment. "I do not know," he admitted. "It just seemed like the right thing to do." Jake managed a weak smile. "Thank you. Whatever happens next, thank you." Over the following weeks, Jake grew stronger. He started walking, then working. The crew was nervous at first. A human on board was dangerous in many ways. But Jake was different from what they expected. He worked harder than anyone, learned their language with amazing speed, and fixed problems with creative solutions that amazed the engineers. He told stories about Earth during mealtimes. Not the wars and violence the Council always talked about, but other things. Music festivals where millions gathered in peace. Doctors who traveled to dangerous places to help. Strangers. People who gave their lives to save others they had never met. He made them laugh with jokes that translated surprisingly well across species. But late at night, Zektar would find Jake staring out the windows at the stars, looking for something he would never find. "Tell me about Amy," Zektar said one night. Standing beside him, Jake smiled sadly. "She loved to draw, always drawing pictures of the stars, of new worlds we would visit. She said she wanted to be an explorer when she grew up, to meet aliens and make friends across the galaxy." He touched the window glass. "She would have loved meeting you." "Perhaps she made it to another escape pod," Zektar suggested gently. "Perhaps," Jake agreed, though they both knew the truth. Space was too big, too cold, too empty. Even if other pods had launched, the chances of rescue were almost zero. But Jake never stopped hoping. Every day he would check the communication systems for human distress signals. Every night he would stare at the stars and whisper his daughter's name like a prayer. The crew stopped seeing him as a dangerous human and started seeing him as just Jake. He became part of their family, this lost soul they had pulled from the darkness. When the ship needed repairs, Jake was there with tools. When younger crew members struggled with their duties, Jake taught them patiently. When Zektar faced difficult decisions, Jake offered perspective that helped. "You humans are not what the Council says," Zektar told him one day. "Some of us are exactly what they say," Jake admitted. "But some of us are trying to be better. We just needed a chance." Zektar looked at this human who had lost everything but still chose kindness, who had every reason to hate but chose to help instead. "Then I am glad I gave you that chance." Jake smiled, the expression reaching his strange, single-pupil eyes. "Commander, can I ask you something? If you found more humans out there, would you save them too?" Zektar thought about the risk, the rules, the consequences. Then he thought about Jake, about Amy, who would never grow up to explore the stars, about all the humans floating frozen in the dark. "Yes," he said simply. "I would." Neither of them knew that this simple answer, this promise between two unlikely friends, would soon change the fate of entire civilizations. They were just two souls in the vast darkness trying to do what was right. 6 months had passed since Jake Morrison joined the crew of the Kelvari patrol ship. The nervous tension that once filled the corridors when he walked by had completely disappeared. Now crew members called out greetings in their clicking language, which Jake returned perfectly. He had become the ship's best engineer, solving problems that had puzzled the crew for years. Jake stood in the engine room, his hands deep inside a cooling unit that had been making strange noises. The Kelvari engineers watched with interest as he worked. His human hands with their 5 flexible fingers could reach places their tentacles could not. "Try it now," Jake called out, pulling his oil-covered hands free. The engine hummed to life, running smoother than it had in years. The engineers made the Kelvari equivalent of applause, slapping their tentacles together. Jake grinned and wiped his hands on a cloth. "Jake Morrison, report to the command center," the ship's communication system announced. Jake frowned. Zektar rarely called him to the bridge. He made his way through the ship, noting how crew members seemed excited about something. Their skin, Colors were shifting rapidly, a sign of strong emotion. When Jake entered the command center, he found Zektar standing in front of the main view screen, his 6 eyes wide with surprise. "Jake, you need to see this." "What is it?" Jake asked, moving to stand beside his friend. "Deep Scanner 7 just sent this transmission. They detected something at coordinates 3547b. Something impossible." Zektar activated the screen. Jake's breath caught in his throat. Ships, hundreds of them. But not the patched-together transport vessels the galaxy knew. These ships were sleek, powerful, with designs that seemed to bend space around them. And on each hull, clear as day, was the blue and green sphere of Earth. Jake couldn't finish the sentence. "A human fleet," Zektar completed. "But how? Your species was dying. Your technology was generations behind even the most basic council members." Jake stared at the screen, his mind racing. The ships were beautiful in a dangerous way, like swords, made of starlight. "We were desperate," he said quietly. "Desperate people do impossible things." Before Zektar could respond, the communication system crackled to life. "Kelvari vessel, this is Admiral Lisa Stone of the United Earth Exodus Fleet. Our scanners show you have one of our people aboard. Jake Morrison, identification number 4471B. Please respond." Jake's hands shook as he reached for the communication button. "This is Jake Morrison. Identification 4471B confirmed." There was a pause. Then a woman's face appeared on the screen. She looked tired but determined, with gray streaking through, her dark hair and steel in her eyes. "Mr. Morrison, are you there of your own free will? Are you safe?" "Yes, Admiral. These people saved my life. They've treated me with nothing but kindness." Admiral Stone's expression softened slightly. "I'm glad to hear that, Jake. We've been looking for you. Your distress beacon led us here." "My beacon was destroyed with my pod," Jake said, confused. "The secondary beacon, Mr. Morrison. The one in your identification chip. It's taken us months to track it." She paused. "Jake, your daughter is alive." The bridge went completely silent. Jake grabbed the console to keep from falling. "What did you say?" "Amy Morrison is alive. She's been looking for you since we found her pod 2 months ago." Jake made a sound that was half laugh, half sob. Zektar placed a tentacle on his shoulder, steadying him. "How?" Jake managed to ask. "Freedom's light made it through. Your daughter was on it after all. Apparently there was a last-minute transfer, a computer error that saved her life." Jake was crying openly now, not caring who saw. His daughter was alive. Amy was alive. "We'd like to arrange a meeting," Admiral Stone continued. "Commander Zektar, would you be willing to bring Jake to the abandoned station at Nexus Point? We can reunite them there." Zektar looked at Jake's face, saw the hope and joy there, and made his decision instantly. "We will be there in 6 hours." The journey to Nexus Point was the longest 6 hours of Jake's life. He paced the corridors, unable to sit still. The crew shared his excitement. They had heard his stories about Amy, seen him stare at her picture, every night. She had become real to them too. The abandoned station was old but functional. When the Kelvari ship docked, Jake was waiting at the airlock before it finished cycling. On the other side stood Admiral Stone, 2 guards, and a small figure with brown hair and Jake's eyes. "Daddy!" Amy launched herself at him and Jake caught her, lifting her up and holding her tight. "I thought I lost you," he whispered into her hair. "I thought I lost you, baby girl." "I was scared," Amy said, her small arms tight around his neck. "But I knew you'd find me. You always find me." Admiral Stone watched the reunion with a small smile, then turned to Zektar. "Commander, I'd like to speak with you privately, if I may." Zektar followed her to a side room, leaving Jake and Amy to their reunion. Once the door closed, Stone's expression became serious. "Commander, what you did, saving Jake, it means more than you know. When word reached the fleet that an alien had shown mercy to one of us, it gave people hope." "I do not understand," Zektar said. Stone walked to the window, looking out at the human fleet. When Earth was dying and the Council abandoned us, we had a choice. Die quietly or evolve. We chose to evolve. Every scientist, every engineer, every brilliant mind we had left worked together. No more nations, no more divisions, just humans trying to survive. But such advancement should take centuries. We didn't have centuries. We had months. She turned back to him. We found old technology in Earth's ruins. Bits and pieces left by various alien visitors over the years. We reverse-engineered it, improved it, made it ours. The pressure of extinction has a way of focusing the mind. Zektar's skin rippled with amazement. All of this in less than a year? When 7 billion people work toward one goal, miracles happen. She paused. But that's not why I wanted to talk to you. We've been monitoring Council communications. The Vorzak Empire is planning something big. 17 systems are targeted. For conquest. Commander, your homeworld is one of them. Zektar's 6 eyes widened in shock. When? 3 weeks, maybe 4. The Council knows but won't act. The targeted systems aren't important enough to them. Why are you telling me this? Stone smiled. Because you saved one of us when you didn't have to. Because Jake's messages to us spoke of your kindness, your crew's acceptance. Because humans have a very long memory for both cruelty and kindness. What are you saying? I'm saying that we're not going to let the Vorzak destroy your world. You saved one human. Now, we're going to save all of you. Zektar was speechless. The humans, the species everyone had written off, were offering to save his people. In the main room, Jake was introducing Amy to the Kelvari crew members who had come aboard. The little girl showed no fear of their alien appearance, just curiosity and delight. She was showing them her drawings, pictures of stars and planets and ships. This one is Daddy's ship, she said, holding up a picture. I drew it every day so I wouldn't forget him. The crew members made soft clicking sounds, their version of being touched by emotion. This small human child who had lost everything still created beauty and hope. Admiral Stone and Zektar returned to find Amy sitting on Jake's shoulders, teaching the Kelvari crew a human song. The sight of massive aliens trying to sing Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star in their clicking language while a human child giggled with delight was something neither leader would ever forget. 3 weeks, Stone said quietly to Zektar. Be ready. When the Vorzak come, they'll find more than they bargained for. As the humans prepared to leave, Amy ran to Zektar and hugged one of his legs. Thank you for saving my daddy, she said. He says you're a hero. Zektar looked down at this tiny human, so fragile yet so fearless. Your father is the hero. He taught us that humans are not what we thought. Jake shook Zektar's tentacle. This isn't goodbye. I have a feeling we'll be seeing each other again soon. I hope so, my friend. As the human shuttle departed, Zektar watched it return to the massive fleet. Ships that shouldn't exist, crewed by a species that should be extinct, powered by technology. That should be impossible. And they were coming to save his world because he had saved one human. The meeting room on the abandoned Nexus station had been cleaned and prepared for something historic. Representatives from the United Earth Exodus Fleet sat on one side of the long table, while Commander Zektar and his senior officers sat on the other. In the middle, Jake Morrison sat with Amy on his lap, bridging the two groups. Admiral Lisa Stone stood at the head of the table, a holographic display glowing behind her. The display showed star charts, fleet positions, and technical readouts that made Zektar's engineers lean forward with interest. Let me start with complete honesty, Stone began. 6 months ago, humanity had nothing. Our world was dead, our colonies were failing, and our ships were held together with prayer and duct tape. The galaxy had written us off as a failed species. She touched the display, bringing up images of Earth in its final days. The blue and green had turned to brown and gray. The oceans were gone, the atmosphere a toxic soup. We had maybe 3 months before the last of us died. The colony ships were our only hope, but as you know, most didn't make it. So what changed? Zektar asked. Stone smiled. Desperation changed. When you have nothing left to lose, you try everything. She brought up new images. Underground bunkers filled with scientists working around the clock. We found alien technology in Earth's ruins, bits and pieces left over centuries by traders, explorers, even spies. Technology the Council races had dropped and forgotten. That technology was worthless, one of Zektar's officers said. Broken pieces, outdated systems. To you, maybe, Stone replied. But to us it was a treasure map. Every piece taught us something. How your engines really worked, how energy shields functioned, how to bend space for faster travel. She paused, and we didn't just copy it. We improved it. The display showed technical specifications that made Zektar's engineers gasp. The human ships weren't using standard Council technology. They had created something entirely new. How many survived? Zektar asked quietly. 200 million, Stone answered. Out of 7 billion. They're all here in the fleet. Every ship is a city. Every person has a job. We don't have a home anymore, but we have each other. Amy had been drawing quietly while the adults talked. Now she held up her picture. It showed human and Kelvari ships flying together. Like friends, she said simply. Stone smiled at the child, then became serious again. Which brings us to why we're really here. Commander Zektar, we know about the Vorzak attack plans because we've been inside their systems. Impossible. Their security is unbreakable. By Council standards, yes, but humans think differently. We don't break down doors, we find windows. We don't crack codes, we make friends with the computers. She brought up intercepted Vorzak communications. They're not just planning to conquer 17 systems, they're planning to eliminate the populations. Complete genocide. The room fell silent. Even Amy stopped drawing, sensing the mood change. The Council knows, Stone continued. We have proof they've seen these plans, but the targeted systems aren't valuable enough to protect. No rare resources, no strategic importance. Just 17 civilizations that will cease to exist because they don't matter enough. Zektar's skin turned a deep purple of anger. His own people had supported the Council for centuries, followed their rules, paid their taxes, and now they would be left to die. But here's what the Vorzak don't know, Stone said, her voice hard. Humans have been preparing, not just for our own defense, but for something bigger. We've been watching which species the Council abandons, which civilizations get sacrificed for political convenience, and we've decided that's going to stop. You're 200 million refugees against the Vorzak Empire, Zektar said. They have thousands of ships. David had a stone and Goliath had armor, Jake said quietly. Everyone looked at him. It's an old Earth story. The small guy won because he fought smarter, not harder. Stone nodded. The Vorzak have thousands of ships designed to fight the last war. We have hundreds of ships designed to fight the next. Go on, let me show you something. She activated a new display. A recording began to play, showing a human ship approaching a derelict Vorzak cruiser, one that had been abandoned after a battle years ago. The human ship did something that looked impossible. It seemed to phase out of reality, pass through the Vorzak shields like they weren't there, and then reappear inside the shield bubble. Phase shift technology, Stone explained. Their shields stop energy and matter, but we found a way to be neither for just long enough to get through. That's impossible, Zektar's science officer said. The power requirements alone would be massive by conventional means, Stone agreed. But we're not using conventional means, we're using something we call quantum borrowing. We borrow energy from parallel dimensions, use it, and return it before the universe notices it's gone. The Kelvari officers looked at each other in amazement. This wasn't just advanced technology. This was revolutionary thinking. You could share this with the Council, Zektar suggested. Trade it for protection. Stone's expression hardened. The Council left us to die. They declared us unworthy. Why would we share anything with them? She looked directly at Zektar. But you're different. You saved Jake when the law said not to. Your crew accepted him when they had every reason to fear him. That's why we're here. She brought up a battle plan. In 3 weeks, when the Vorzak attack your homeworld, they're going to find the human fleet waiting for them. But we're not doing this for free. Zektar tensed. What do you want? Alliance, Stone said simply. Real alliance, not like the Council's version where some species matter more than others. Equal partnership. Your people's knowledge of stellar cartography and botanical sciences. Our technology and protection. Together. And if we refuse? Stone shrugged. Then we'll still stop the Vorzak. Jake says you're good people. That's enough. For us. But we'd rather be friends than just heroes passing through. Amy had gone back to drawing. She showed her new picture to everyone, humans and Kelvari standing together on a green planet under a blue sky. New home, she explained. For everyone. Your daughter is very optimistic, Zektar said to Jake. She gets it from her mother, Jake replied softly. Sarah always said humans were at their best when they were helping others. Where is her mother? Zektar asked gently. She stayed on Earth to run the last evacuation center, made sure every last person got to the ships. Jake's voice was steady, but his eyes were sad. She saved 10,000 people. The building collapsed an hour after the last ship left. The room was quiet for a moment, respecting the memory of Sarah Morrison and thousands like her who had sacrificed themselves so others could escape. I need to discuss this with my crew, Zektar said finally. Of course, Stone replied. But Commander, there's something else you should know. The 17 systems the Vorzak are targeting. We've already made contact with all of them. Every single one wants to join our alliance. They're tired of being expendable, tired of mattering less because they're not powerful enough. You're building a rebellion, Zektar realized. No, Stone corrected. We're building a family. The Council is about power and control. We're about mutual survival and growth. We're not trying to destroy the Council. We're just making them irrelevant. As the meeting ended, Amy gave each of the Kelvari officers one of her drawings. So you remember us? She said solemnly. Zektar looked at his drawing, a human hand and a Kelvari tentacle shaking in friendship. Such a simple image, but it represented something that could change the galaxy. 3 weeks, Stone reminded him as they prepared to leave. We'll be ready. The question is, will you stand with us when the time comes? Zektar looked at Jake, the human he had saved. He looked at Amy, the child who saw no difference between human and alien. He looked at Admiral Stone, who offered partnership instead of domination. We'll stand with you, he said. The Kelvari remember their debts. You're trying to save our world because we saved one human. Yes, we'll stand with you. Jake smiled and extended his hand. Zektar wrapped a tentacle around it. Amy clapped with delight. The galaxy is about to learn something important, Stone said. Humans don't forget kindness, and we protect our friends. As the two groups parted, neither fully understood how much this moment would matter. 17 small civilizations were about to be saved. The Vorzak Empire was about to be humbled, and the Council's monopoly on power was about to end. All because one alien commander had chosen mercy 6 months ago. The sky above Kelvari Prime was beautiful on what everyone thought would be their last day. Purple clouds drifted across the green atmosphere while 3 moons hung like jewels in the morning light. In the capital city, families gathered in their homes, tentacles intertwined in the traditional gesture of farewell. Commander Zektar stood on the bridge of his patrol ship, now the flagship of Kelvari's pitiful defense fleet. 7 ships against the coming storm. His crew stood at their posts, brave and ready, though everyone knew how this would end. Vorzak fleet detected, his sensor operator announced, voice steady despite the fear everyone felt. 30 dreadnoughts approaching fast, 30 ships, each one capable of turning a continent to glass. Zektar had sent most of his crew to the escape pods, keeping only volunteers. They would buy what time they could for the evacuation ships, though everyone knew it wouldn't be enough. Commander, his communication officer said, the Vorzak Admiral is hailing us. Put him through. The screen filled with the harsh face of Admiral Krath, his forearms crossed in a gesture of dominance. The Vorzak looked like walking nightmares. Black shells, razor-sharp claws, and eyes that glowed red with malice. Commander Zektar, Krath said, his voice like grinding metal. Your world has been selected for cleansing. Surrender now and we We'll make your deaths quick. We surrender, Zektar said immediately. Please allow our civilian ships to evacuate. Take the planet, but spare the innocents. Krath laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Surrender not accepted. Your species harbored humans. You showed them kindness when the Council forbade it. The sentence is extinction. We saved one human, one dying creature. Is that worth destroying an entire civilization? Yes, Krath said. Simply, others must learn what happens to those who defy Council wishes. Your deaths will be a lesson. The channel closed. Zektar looked at his crew, these brave souls who had chosen to die beside him. It has been an honor, he began. Commander, the sensor operator shouted. Massive energy signatures detected. They're everywhere. Space itself seemed to tear apart. One moment, empty void surrounded Kelvari Prime. The next, over 1,000 human vessels materialized as if from nowhere. They didn't drop from hyperspace or emerge from jump points. They simply appeared, like ghosts becoming solid. The human fleet formed a perfect sphere around the planet, each ship positioned with mathematical precision. At the center of the formation, the largest vessel Zektar had ever seen slowly materialized. A ship that seemed to be made of flowing silver, its surface reflecting the stars. Vorzak Fleet, Admiral Stone's voice rang out across all channels. This is the United Earth Exodus Fleet. You have 10 seconds to power down weapons and retreat. Krath's laughter boomed across the communication waves. You dare threaten the Empire? You're nothing but homeless refugees, parasites without a world. 5 seconds, Stone continued, her voice calm as still water. We'll destroy you like we destroyed your pathetic planet. You'll burn like Earth burned. Time's up. What happened next would be studied in military academies for generations, though no one would quite believe it. The human ships didn't fire weapons in any conventional sense. Instead, they sang. That was the only word for it. A harmonious frequency emanated from every human vessel, a sound that somehow traveled through the vacuum of space. The frequency built and built until it reached a crescendo that made reality itself vibrate. The Vorzak ship's shields flickered and died. Their weapons powered down, their engines stopped. In 5 minutes, the most feared fleet in the quadrant was reduced to 30 floating hulks, powerless and defenseless. But the humans didn't destroy them. Not a single Vorzak life was lost. How? Krath demanded, his voice now tinged with fear. What did you do? Admiral Stone appeared on screen, but now she was standing next to Jake Morrison and Amy. The little girl waved at the camera. We learned something interesting, Stone said. Every piece of technology has a frequency. A resonance. Find it and you can turn anything off. We call it the lullaby protocol. Your ships are taking a nap. This is impossible. The Council will do nothing, Stone interrupted. They already wrote off these 17 systems, remember? As far as they're concerned, this never happened. She turned to address Zektar. Commander, your world is safe. The Vorzak threat is neutralized. Zektar couldn't speak. His crew was making sounds of joy and disbelief. Below, on Kelvari Prime, millions watched as their certain death turned into impossible salvation. But we're not done, Stone continued. She touched her control panel, and the silver ship at the center of the formation began to change. Its surface rippled and flowed, extending tendrils of light that connected to each Vorzak vessel. What are you doing? Krath demanded. Giving you a choice, Stone replied. Your ships will be returned to Vorzak space. You'll have full power restored once you're there. But if any Vorzak vessel approaches any of the 17 protected systems again, every ship in your empire will experience the lullaby protocol. Permanently. You're bluffing. You can't have that much power. Amy stepped forward, still holding her father's hand. My mommy said bullies are just scared people acting mean. Are you scared? The innocence of the child's question hit harder than any threat. Krath stared at this tiny human who looked at him without fear, only curiosity. Your empire has a choice, Stone said. Continue your expansion elsewhere. Leave these systems alone. and we'll never bother you again. Or test us and lose your entire fleet forever. Decide. There was a long silence. Then Krath spoke, his voice bitter. We will withdraw. Good choice, Stone said. The light tendrils retracted, and the Vorzak ship's systems came back online. Without another word, they turned and jumped to hyperspace, leaving Kelvari Prime's sky clear. The human fleet remained for a moment, 1,000 stars arranged in perfect formation. Then Stone hailed Zektar again. Commander, we'd like to come down if we may. There's more to discuss. An hour later, Zektar stood in the Capitol Plaza with thousands of other Kelvari watching human shuttles land. Admiral Stone emerged, followed by Jake and Amy and hundreds of other humans. But these weren't soldiers. They were families, children, elderly, ordinary people who had lost everything but still came to help. Amy ran to Zektar and hugged his leg, a gesture she seemed to enjoy. We saved you, she announced proudly. Yes, you did, Zektar said, his voice thick with emotion. But why? We only saved one human. Jake stepped forward. Commander, when word spread through the fleet about what you did, about how your crew accepted me, it gave people hope. For months we'd been told we were worthless, that no one in the galaxy would help us. Then we heard about you. Stone nodded. Every human in the fleet voted. The decision was unanimous. We helped those who helped us. It's that simple. But the other 16 systems? They didn't save any humans. No, Stone agreed. But they're just like you. Small civilizations the Council deemed expendable. We know what that feels like. She gestured to the human families mixing with the Kelvari crowds. We're offering them the same thing we're offering you. Partnership, protection, a chance to matter. An elderly human woman approached, moving slowly with a walking stick. She reached out and touched one of Zektar's tentacles. Young man, she said, though Zektar was probably older than her, you saved someone's child. In my book, that makes you family. All around the plaza, humans and Kelvari were meeting. Children played together, ignoring the species barrier. Adults shared food and stories. Amy had started teaching a group of young Kelvari how to draw. This is what we're building, Stone said, watching the scene. Not an empire, not a council, just people helping people. The 17 systems will form the first members, but we think others will join. Species tired of being told they don't matter. The council will try to stop you. Let them try, Stone said with a smile. We went from nothing to this in under a year. Imagine what we'll be in 5 years. Or 10. That evening, as Kelvari Prime celebrated its salvation, Zektar found Jake, standing alone looking at the stars. What are you thinking about? Zektar asked. Sarah, Jake replied. My wife. She would have loved this. Humans and aliens working together, protecting each other. It's what she always dreamed of. She would be proud of you. And of Amy. Jake smiled. You know, when you pulled me from that pod, I thought my life was over. Everything I loved was gone. But you gave me time. Time to see my daughter again. Time to be part of this. He gestured to the celebration. Time to help save others like you saved me. You humans have a saying about this, don't you? We have a lot of sayings, Jake laughed. Which one? Today you, tomorrow me. Jake nodded. Yeah, that's exactly it. You helped me when I needed it. Now we help you. And someday, when humans need help again, maybe you'll be there for us. Count on it, Zektar said. Above them, the human fleet still orbited, guardian angels in the night sky. 17 systems were safe. An empire had been humbled. And somewhere, out there, word was spreading. The humans were back, and they remembered their friends. 1 year had passed since the day the humans saved Kelvari Prime. The galaxy had changed in ways no one could have predicted. The United Human Alliance, as it came to be known, had grown from 17 founding members to 43 species. The abandoned, the forgotten, the deemed unworthy. They all found shelter under humanity's surprising protection. Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of Unity 1, the massive space station that served as the Alliance's capital. Below him, a planet glowed with new life. Earth 2, they called it, though it looked nothing like the original Earth. This world was purple and gold, with 3 suns and floating continents. The Kelvari had helped design the ecosystem, while the Penthari had provided the atmospheric processors. Dozens of species had contributed to make this new home possible. Amy ran up beside him, now 9 years old and taller. "Dad, look, the first trees are blooming." Through the transparent floor they could see purple trees spreading across a continent, their leaves catching the light of 3 suns. It had taken a year of work, but life was taking root. "Your mother would have loved this," Jake said softly. "She would have," Amy agreed. She had her mother's wisdom, too mature for her years. "But she would have loved what it means more than what it looks like." Commander Zektar approached, his footsteps clicking on the metal floor. His skin had taken on the lighter purple of Kelvari aging, but his 6 eyes were still sharp. "The council delegation has arrived," he announced. Jake sighed. They actually came. They had no choice. 43 systems ignoring their authority. They had to respond. The meeting hall was packed. Representatives from every alliance species filled the seats, while the 5 council representatives stood in the center, looking uncomfortable. The council had sent their highest diplomats, beings who had never imagined they'd be negotiating with humans as equals. Admiral Stone entered, but she wasn't wearing military uniform anymore. As elected leader of the Alliance, she wore simple civilian clothes. The message was clear. This wasn't a military organization, it was a community. "Council representatives," she greeted them. "Welcome to Unity 1. The lead representative, a crystalline being called Xerex, pulsed with indignation. "You have violated 17,000 protocols. You have ignored council authority. You have created an illegal alliance. We demand—" "You demand?" Stone interrupted gently. "I think you're confused. You're not here to demand. You're here to—" "Listen." The room stirred. No one spoke to the council that way. "A year ago," Stone continued, "the council declared 17 systems expendable. You knew the Vorzak would destroy them and you did nothing. Those systems are now under Alliance protection. You had no right." "We had every right," Stone said firmly. "The right of conscience. The right to protect those who couldn't protect themselves. The same right Commander Zektar exercised when he saved Jake Morrison." She gestured to a screen that came to life, showing images from the past year. Human ships defending a Morvac colony from raiders. Kelvari botanists helping restore a dying Penthari world. Dozens of species working together. This is what we've built. Not through conquest or control, but through cooperation. Every member has equal voice. Every species contributes what they can. Everyone benefits. "This is chaos," Xerex protested. Without central authority, Stone interrupted. "We've accomplished more in 1 year than the council has in 10. We've developed technologies you said were impossible. We've restored dead worlds. We've ended conflicts that had lasted generations." Amy stepped forward from where she'd been sitting with Jake. No one had expected a child to speak at such a meeting, but Amy had become something of a symbol to the Alliance. The human child who saw no differences between species. "Excuse me," she said to Xerex. "Why do you think some people matter less than others?" The crystalline being pulsed with confusion. "It's not about mattering less. It's about resources, strategic, value." "But that's the same thing," Amy said simply. "You're saying some lives are worth saving and others aren't. That's wrong. Child, you don't understand the complexities. I understand that when my dad was dying in space, Commander Zektar saved him even though your rules said not to. And, because he did, humans saved lots of other people. Maybe if you helped people instead of making rules about who deserves help, the galaxy would be better." The room was silent. The wisdom of a 9-year-old had cut through centuries of political justification. An elderly Morvac representative stood. The Morvac had been slaves under the council system for 300 years until the Alliance freed them. "The child speaks truth. The council talks of order and stability, but what use is order if it's built on suffering? What value is stability? if it means accepting injustice? One by one, representatives stood and spoke. Each told their story of abandonment by the Council and salvation by the Alliance. The cumulative weight of testimony was overwhelming. Finally, Xerex spoke again, his pulse patterns showing resignation. "What do you want?" "Nothing," Stone said, surprising everyone. "We don't want anything from you. We're not trying to destroy the Council or take your power. We're simply offering an alternative. Species can choose to remain under Council authority or join the Alliance. Free choice. And if we declare you illegal? If we embargo you?" Stone smiled. "You're welcome to try, but ask yourself, do you really want to make enemies of the species that turned off the entire Vorzak fleet without firing a shot? That restored dead worlds? That built all this from nothing in a year?" She let that sink in, then continued. "Or would you rather have us as neighbors? Different but peaceful. We'll trade with Council worlds, share certain technologies, help when asked. But we go our own way." The Council representatives huddled together, their various forms of communication creating a strange symphony of sounds and lights. Finally, Xerex spoke. "The Council will consider your proposal. In the meantime, no hostile action will be taken against Alliance worlds." "Good enough," Stone said. "You're welcome to stay and observe if you'd like. See how we actually operate." Over the following days, the Council representatives watched in amazement. They saw humans teaching engineering to Kelvari young. They saw Penthari artists creating beauty with Morvac musicians. They saw Amy's school, where 30 different species children learned together, playing and laughing without any awareness that they were supposed to be different. On the final day, there was a ceremony. A monument was being unveiled in the station's central plaza. Jake had been asked to speak. He stood before the crowd, Amy beside him, Zektar on his other side. 5 years ago, humanity was dying. Our world was dead, our hope almost gone. Then Commander Zektar made a choice. He saved one human. Just one. He didn't know that action would ripple across the galaxy. The monument was revealed. A beautiful sculpture of intertwined forms representing all 43 Alliance species, reaching upward together toward the stars. This monument celebrates not just the saving of lives, but the power of kindness. Every species here has a story of helping or being helped. The Kelvari saved me. We saved them. They helped us restore worlds. Those worlds sheltered other refugees. On and on, kindness multiplying across the stars. Amy stepped forward to read the inscription on the monument's base. Her clear voice carried across the plaza. "They saved one human, so we returned for all of them. In memory of Earth, and in celebration of the hope that rises from its ashes, kindness is the most powerful force in the universe." Even Xerex, watching from the observation deck, felt something shift in his crystalline structure. Perhaps the humans were right. Perhaps there was another way. As the crowd dispersed, Jake found himself standing with Zektar, looking out at Earth 2 below. Ships were arriving every hour. Refugees, traders, explorers, all coming to see this new world where everyone was welcome. "Any regrets?" Jake asked. "About saving you?" "Never. Though I didn't expect it to lead to all this." Jake laughed. "Neither did I, but maybe that's how the universe works. Small acts of kindness growing into something bigger." "Your wife would be proud," Zektar said. "She is," Jake replied, watching Amy help a young Vorzak child. Even their former enemies were starting to send their young to Alliance schools. She lives on in Amy, in what we've built, in every hand extended to help another. A communication came in. Another species, the Xylex, requesting Alliance membership. They were a small civilization. Only 2 planets, no strategic value. The Council had classified them as insignificant. "What do you think?" Zektar asked. "I think we have room for more," Jake said. Admiral Stone's voice came over the communication system. "Alliance members, we have a new application. The Xylex need our help. Their sun is dying, and they need evacuation assistance. All in favor of emergency membership and immediate aid?" The vote was unanimous, as it always was for those in need. As ships began preparing for the rescue mission, Jake thought about how far they'd come. From one dying human in a broken escape pod to an alliance that spanned the galaxy. From abandonment to community. From despair to hope. "You know what the funny thing is?" Jake said to Zektar. "What?" The council was right about humans being dangerous. Just not in the way they thought. We're dangerous because we remember kindness. We're dangerous because we don't accept that some people matter less. We're dangerous because when you save one of us,